Greetings, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. It was announced that Tesla had reduced the amount by 2,000 units a week for parts coming in for the Model 3. And we take a look at, is this significant or not, in this video. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Bonjour, wie geht's, guten Tag. Today's talk focuses on the announcement that for those waiting on Model 3s, there's a development that they're 2,000 or 3,000 units short. I wanted to jump into this dialogue because I was actually surprised after hearing about this decline in orders. I actually came away impressed. I was actually expecting that Tesla would announce that they actually are going to delay into January before production started. So instead of being concerned because they're actually dropping from 5,000 a week down to 2,000 or 3,000 seemed like a worry, but I actually think that it's actually a good deal because you're going from 0 to 2,000 to 3,000 units a week versus the opposite direction, I think is a bigger deal. So this brings up the question. I think that analysis is a no-brainer. It's obvious to everyone concerned. The real question that pops up and what I wanted to cover today is what I call $20 billion worth of negativity. What do I mean by this? Well, it turns out that there's a large group of companies called hedge funds, mostly based in New York, but they're all over the world. And they make money when stocks are moving up or when they're moving down. In the case of Tesla, Tesla has a heavy short position, meaning that there's a large number of companies that benefit if the stock price of Tesla falls. So what's actually going on right now is that the closer Tesla gets to scale production of the Model 3, the higher the likelihood that the stock price will go higher. So there are some very powerful, very wealthy entities that are aggressively trying to slow down the Tesla growth and success. And one way to do that is to actually put out stories or find ways to introduce ideas that question whether or not Tesla will succeed with the Model 3. Can they stay in business? Do they have a clue? And a quick example that comes to mind is that on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, there's an article 2 months ago that we covered focused on the parking problems that Tesla is having at both the headquarters and at the Fremont manufacturing plant. I thought this was really interesting because it was the first time in 40 years of reading I've ever seen the Wall Street Journal cover the parking lot at a company before. And I thought it was an interesting story because what they were suggesting is that, hey, if Tesla can't figure out their own parking lot, how can they figure out how to build a Model 3 and get it to scale and get it out to customers? And, obviously that story has died down, but the intensity of the interest in Tesla and whether or not they're a Ponzi scheme or going out of business is sort of a brewing and lurking story still. So earnings are coming out on the 1st of November, and I'm expecting that what will happen is that the earnings will be good relative to sales of the Model X and S, and the Model 3s, the VIN numbers for Model 3s continue to increase, so the slow start to build of production is starting to happen on the Model 3. The issue, though, is how can we identify stories that are negative for Tesla that can be presented that might affect investor happiness with the stock? So the answer to this is invent some stuff that doesn't exist. And even if you can't tank the stock, the fact that you have access to the news outlets enough allows you to push stories out that potentially lower the stock price. And even if you're not making up a huge number, a 1, to $10 change in stock price is actually a pretty good killing if you've shorted the stock and you're working in the short term. So what all this says is that we're going to have, I think, the most intense period of negative Tesla stories that will happen over the next 40 or so days until we get into December and scale production of the vehicle starts. After that, my next expectation is that if Tesla misses, by 1,000 vehicles or something, again, we'll jump back into the negativity. But I think that early production runs may be slower than expected, and then it'll pick up from there. So, at any rate, I just think it's fun watching and understanding how and why Tesla is in action and why it is the negativity is so intense. But it completely makes sense, and it's actually very lucrative. So there are 20 billion reasons why Tesla is a horrible company, and they're going out of business, and they suck. And then they'll get through this period and start, kicking butt, taking names, and everybody, investors involved, et cetera, will be happy with it. But until then, I think the power of the hedge funds to move the stock price negatively is extremely strong. I'm actually looking forward to, the story that says Elon Musk has a harem of strippers that he has sex with on the factory floor of the Tesla building every day. I mean, how ridiculous can it get is the question. If you're going to sit there and have conversations about the parking lot at a company, I'm putting nothing beyond folks that need to make some dollars before Tesla takes off. Look forward to your comments. This is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Tschüss, macht's gut, au revoir, Lehitraot, Choda Hafez.